I do a lot of presentations to the service that we offer for our customers. So one of the things I tell them about the EqualLogic is that a monkey can run it. And I say it mostly as a joke, but it's simple, it's straightforward, and it serves our need. And our need specifically is to provide storage to virtual machines, and then the occasional remote server that needs more storage than it currently has. And we do that a lot with Red Hat. Red Hat runs out of space on an older system, and we provide it a huge LUN so they can do some migrations or some repairs or some upgrades to a remote system on a Red Hat box.
How many virtual machines do you have on EqualLogic right now?
Currently I'm running 42.
What's your growth rate there?
Well, it depends on when you take this measurement, this USA Today pie chart. If you start from the beginning, it's probably about 2 machines a week. If you take it from early November, it's 6 machines a week. So we've, depending on how you start, of course we've torn them down and rebuilt them and torn them down and rebuilt them. So I've built a total of 80. We have 42 in production right now. The other 30 or so were developmental boxes or test boxes or just, hey, will this work box. But currently we have 42 in production.
So how did you figure out that you could get the performance out of the EqualLogic box?
We ran out of money. So the truth is we ran out of money and we needed some disk storage. We currently have an IBM Fast T product, 2 terabytes, and we were down to the last 10% available disk space. We didn't have the funding to purchase a new Fast T. We needed a complete overhaul. So I was told to do some research, find out what else is out there. EqualLogic popped up in my search, so I had the guys come out, they did a presentation, they let me use the box for a while, and I was able to hook it to all my 2 terabytes of storage. I was able to hook to 4 new terabytes of storage and do a test migration, and it just worked. So I was able to actually evacuate Fast T 500 without having to take my servers down. That was pretty awesome. At that point, we looked at the price point, and then VM kind of came in as a parallel project, and we kind of heard a buzz that VM is going to support iSCSI, and iSCSI support VM, and we all got excited and we jumped on board, and here we are.
Did you do any performance testing?
Yes. When I said SATA drives over Ethernet, everybody looked at me like I was nuts. I had to devise a test. So my tests were simple, is I programmed the tool to run a test, maybe a certain file size for a certain period of time. I ran it on the native box, ran it against its own internal disk, and I always got results that said the EqualLogic was faster. So I switched it up and moved it to another real piece of hardware and attached it maybe in a slightly different way to EqualLogic. So one of them was I had a real server with 15K internal drives in a mirror against 100 gig iSCSI using an initiator on Windows, and I still beat it by like 22%. So then people said, well, no, it's because you're running it in bursts. So I ran it longer, and yes, the numbers came down, but I was always ahead by a sizable margin. And at that point, I just put my hands in the air and I said, I don't know what to tell you. I can't beat it. Whatever I think I'm going to win, whether I run a database algorithm, or I run a file algorithm, or I run a large file algorithm, or a small file algorithm, I can't make the local numbers come up higher than the remote numbers. And again, using the initiator. Software initiator across a router is beating local hardware. When I ran my first test, I ran it on my laptop, and I just went, well, that's not really significant. My laptop's slow. It's no big deal. I moved it from there to a normal 7,200 RPM IDE drive, and that wasn't, I was like, well, I still beat it, but I moved that into a server farm with a 10K RAID 5, and I beat that. And I was like, well, this is getting wild. So I went and found the fastest drive I could, which is 215K 36 gig drive. Let it rip, and
still beat that.
Still beat it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I just, I printed them out, a little report, a little chart, handed it back to my boss and said, that's what I got. It wins every time. And they looked at me and said, your reputation, that's my reputation. I did these tests. This is how the data came out. I stand behind it. And ever since we put it in, I'm running SAS, I'm running Oracle, I'm running file and print, and I haven't heard boo from anybody. So nobody's having I/O problems with SATA drives over Ethernet. So who would have thunk that 4 years ago, but they're certainly thunking it now.
So you're running Oracle on SATA drives?
I'm running Oracle on SATA drives. Through the dismay of the DBA.
But no complaints?
Complaints. Not one.
How would you characterize your Oracle environment?
This particular Oracle environment is 10G, running Windows 2003.
It's about a 60 gig database. The reason it got there was it failed in its real environment, in the regular world, and we brought it over into virtual space attached to EqualLogic because we had no other alternative. And it performs as good or better than it did before with no complaints from the users or the DB admin once we got it installed.
Thanks for spending the time.